No one saw this coming, as some new stats and rumors have dropped, revealing some shocking information as it pertains to the Lakers' center position and specifically Jackson Hayes. We're breaking down exactly what this is and discuss what it means going forward, as it has huge implications on the rest of the season for the Lakers. We're also going to break down multiple updates surrounding injuries, as well as Luka Doncic ahead of a huge game tonight against the Denver Nuggets. Stay tuned for all that in this episode, folks. Before we get into it, if you're a part of that 90% who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Lakers content. Your guys' support has been absolutely unbelievable. If you want to continue to help us towards our goal, our big goal of 20,000 subscribers, make sure to hit that subscribe button. But ladies and gentlemen, there's lots to go over today, and there's a huge game tonight against the Denver Nuggets, and it seems like both sides are going to have most of their players. We're going to dive into all that in a little bit, but I want to start with some new, stats that are dropping and the sentiment around Jackson Hayes, because Jackson Hayes is a guy coming into the season was seen as a second, third string center. Obviously, had Anthony Davis and really the backup center, but depending on AD would play a ton of minutes. And then after the Luka Doncic trade, it has completely shifted the focus on Jackson Hayes being the primary center, the starting center, and especially after the Mark Williams trade was nixed. And I want to dive into this a little bit because a ton of fans are speaking out about this now. And it's not just Jackson Hayes, it's also Trey Jemison, who we'll dive into in a little bit here. But the Lakers are 9-1. Yes, 9-1 when Jackson Hayes plays over 20 minutes. And this is an absolutely absurd stat, right? I mean, it's just crazy. And Jackson Hayes has been a very solid player this season for the Lakers. Has been one, and now has turned into one of their most important players because they don't have any other centers aside from Alex Len and Trey Jemison. We'll get into in a minute. But looking at his stats this year, he's all the way up to 6 points, 4.2 rebounds, and 18 minutes a game. And he's going to start, going to be continuing to start for the foreseeable future for this team. And we saw him have a great game, a couple nights ago, and we're seeing him continue to play really good basketball. He actually fits the Luka Doncic mold as what center you'd want alongside Luka extremely well. He's playing serviceable defense. He's blocking a lot of shots. He's quick in the pick and roll, specifically diving to the basket after a Luka penetration. I mean, it just has been perfect for both the Lakers and, of course, Jackson Hayes, because if you're Jackson Hayes now, you're setting yourself up for, a great role and maybe a payday in the future as well here. But we saw him with the Pelicans in 2021 be able to do this in his age 21 season, right? 9 points, 4 rebounds. If he can continue to increase those numbers a little bit, continue to get more and more familiar with him, I mean, clearly he fits this Lakers team extremely well, right? There's no doubt about it. Every time he plays a significant amount of minutes, the Lakers win, right? And JJ Redick is going to continue to figure out the best spots to utilize him, figure out where the best, opportunities are to get him rest and to get him in the game, especially as, your center position right now is very interesting. And you can see this here. Trey Jemison was was the pseudo backup center in last game for the Lakers. And as you look at their starting lineup and you assume this is going to be the starting lineup tonight, we have a couple of injury updates to go over, but like Alex Len has not been quite what they hoped. And we'll get into Trey Jemison in a minute. But you're going to have to really pray. And no one saw this coming for Jackson Hayes to be as serviceable as he is, and hopefully is going to be going forward with, again, 9-1 when he plays over 20 minutes. That's just a wild stat. And, that aside, his stats are actually starting to improve. He's very efficient around the rim. He's good at dunking the ball. We saw late in the game, a few games ago, down the stretch when they lost, continuing to play against the Jazz, continue to play really, before the All-Star break, continue to play like good ball, especially, in the pick and roll. I don't know. It's a very interesting situation here, and it's going to be very crucial for JJ Redick to continue to utilize both Jackson Hayes and playing him more than 20 minutes a game. Just keep him out there and let him continue to develop and play. Still super young, right? He's only 24 years old. And as it pertains to Trey Jemison, this is also pretty wild. This per 36 minutes or 11 points, 10 rebounds. Again, per 36 inflates a lot of player stats. They're 8-0 when Jemison plays. At the end of the day, he is going to be pretty important as well, because Trey Jemison has been a very serviceable player in his brief stints. And some people were saying, and I want you to let me know down below, do you think the Alex Len signing was a mistake? Do you think they should have just went with Trey Jemison over Alex Len? Obviously, they spoke out. The reason they got Alex Len in the first place was kind of to have another big body against teams like tonight, the Denver Nuggets, where you have Nikola Jokic, you have, some of the bigger bodies out there, and having Alex Len to throw on Nikola Jokic and just throw a body out there, whether, Jackson Hayes gets in foul trouble or not, is going to be pretty crucial. But Trey Jemison's been playing well. Jackson Hayes been playing well. I don't think anyone saw how good this center, again, it's not a championship caliber center. I don't think Jackson Hayes is a championship caliber center, but they're playing really well. And when they're in the lineup, they're playing a lot better than a lot of fans initially thought. So I'm very curious to see what you all think. Let me know down below. Do you think that Jackson Hayes is going to be able to keep this up? I'm not saying, the Lakers win every game when he plays over 20, but just in general, will he be able to keep this up? And of course, B, what are your thoughts are on Trey Jemison? Do you think he should be getting minutes over guys like Alex Len? And again, we're hoping that Bismack Biyombo and some of these other guys become serviceable, become available. After he just signed another 10-day with the Spurs, so hopefully he becomes available, and they might try to get another center. But for now, they're holding pretty true. And a couple other things to go over today. So the injury report for tonight's game. LeBron and Luka are both probable. Maxi Kleber's out, and Bronny James, of course, with the South Bay Lakers in the G League. So this is going to be a big game. I mean, Luka's yet to have a great game as a Laker, and if there's one to have it, it's going to be this game. He's coming off of a game where he missed because of left calf injury management. LeBron took over and won the Lakers the game. Both of them are probable now, and this is a huge Western Conference matchup. You also need to start piling on wins to continue to move up in the Western Conference, because if you continue to lose games, you're going to fall down pretty quickly, right? And that's the way that these things are starting to work, especially with the playing games, all these different things. You don't want to fall into the playing game. Not saying the Lakers are super, super close to a playing spot, but you need to continue to pile up points, right? And have LeBron and Luka available for tonight's game in all likelihood is excellent. And we're going to see presumably Jokic and Jamal Murray both be in the game. So it's going to be an absolute, it's going to be a bit of a barn burner tonight. It's going to be exciting. We'll have a post-game. We should have a post-game video, most likely after the game. Stay tuned for that. And they need to keep up their defensive effort. And I covered this in a video yesterday. The Lakers have the #1 defensive rating over the past 15 games. Austin Reaves has been, quietly being good according to Advanced Analytics. Gabe Vincent, LeBron, Jackson Hayes, DFS. And they have led the Lakers in defensive rating over that span. Dorian Finney-Smith came in, has really set the tone defensively for this team. We've seen a noticeable increase in just overall team defense and individual defense since Dorian Finney-Smith has come, and that's what he's done his entire career. Come over, play great defense, of course, be a good three-point shooter. Jackson Hayes, like I mentioned, started to play better as of late. Even Austin Reaves, they're putting him on. I mean, the offensive, firepower is there, but their defense in the starting lineup is poor. So you now have to have Austin Reaves step up and guard the other team's best players most of the time, assuming they're guards and wings. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can keep this part of their game up. If they can, I like their chances in going far, especially when it comes to both in the playoffs and just winning games in the regular season. And one of the interesting things is Vanderbilt, he will be unplayable next to any traditional big man. That's one of the interesting things. Like, Vando has not been as good lately since they're running traditional big men in Jackson Hayes, Trey Jemison, Alex Len. They do not have a stretch big, which makes Vando a little bit more useless in the sense of you can't run Vando with Hayes, Jemison, or Len, because none of those guys can stretch the floor. And then the other team, the opposing team's defense can just crowd the paint, leave Jared Vanderbilt wide open for three, leave Jackson Hayes wide open for three, obviously, because they're not even going to be at the three-point line, right? Vando will shoot them. He's a very inefficient three-point shooter. And it's something I wanted to cover, and it's another thing to look out for tonight is, will the Lakers run small? You can't really run small against Jokic. So tonight, I'm not sure how much of an impact Vando will have. It's going to be very intriguing to see, but it's going to be interesting because there's also question marks about how Reaves, Luka, and LeBron can all fit in together. And we'll now know tonight, because this is going to be a very exciting game at a time where you're finally going to see them against a good team for the first time since Luka came over, how they play. A couple other things here. LeBron obviously following the big win, and we don't take this for granted, the fact that he has the resume he does, playing a back-to-back, 40 years old, playing harder than anyone on the court. LeBron hopefully can keep up. He was, sneaky in there as one of the better defenders on this team over this stretch. And this is a big thing as well. JJ spoke to Luka, and Luka said, speaking with him Tuesday night after practice, we sat down together. He's all in. He's over the mental part of the shock and everything. He's in a really good place. So being over the mental part of the shock seemed like that's what's kind of been holding him down along with the injury. Now we got him physically where he needs to be, Luka. Let's hopefully we see that tonight. We'll keep you up to date with all the latest news. Let me know down below what your thoughts are. Things are getting crazy. Cheers.